Politics. I have to say politics is an area where I haven't completely opted out of, but I can tell you this, I do not even come close to subscribing to any type of political philosophy, be it conservative or liberal, because the differentiation between those parties is so slim. You can see it now with Donald Trump, who's a guy who actually speaks his mind. Um, I'm doing this video and this audio a few years after I actually wrote this article. If I don't want you guys getting confused if you're reading this article, and people are up in arms because they're so used to, the two politicians that you get to vote for in America saying basically the same things. A guy who just says what he's thinking is shocking to everybody, because politics is a fucking charade. Real change agents don't make it to the polls. Donald Trump is a big exception. There are very few multi-billionaires who have the social freedom and the balls to do what he's doing. Is he going to be good for the country? I don't know. It remains to be seen, but it is something different. Real politics, the standard level of politics is a charade. Your vote doesn't matter. Okay, there's 300 million Americans and 300 million voters, and you get a choice between two guys, the conservative guy or the liberal guy, and they agree on 90% of the issues. Neither of them are auditing the Fed. No one's pulling American troops out of countries. Everyone's in favor of bombing one country or the other. No one's talking about the structural problems in America, the widening gap between the rich and the poor. No one's talking about shrinking the level of government. No one is talking about reverting back to the Constitution. No one's talking about reverting back to the Bill of Rights. Everyone is talking about increasing the amount of surveillance, producing more weapons, etc., etc. There's no major difference between a Barack Obama and a George W. Bush, except for who's backing them, who they owe, who their donors are, and what some minor differences in strategy. Okay, but they are still running the American empire, the most powerful empire in the history of civilization, and your vote is a joke, and the entire thing is a charade. All right? Politics are always and have always been run by a ruthless elite since the beginning of civilization close to 6,000 years ago. Free countries are few and far between. Civilization has been a slave ship since the beginning. Wake up. Political television is merely entertainment, and politicians only have limited power. Politicians in this day and age are merely just turnkey executives for wealthy aristocrats, banking families, powerful multi-billionaire military industrialist donors, and the people who wield power through owning the corporations, through owning the banks and usury, and through war fighting. These are the power behind the throne, so to speak. The guys who meet every year at Bilderberg, the guys who sponsor candidates, and they love the system because they themselves are not judged. Their candidates are judged every 4 years. Eventually, people get frustrated with the new guy who promised hope and change, and they just get rid of him and promote a new guy and a fresh face, and everyone gets excited by that guy, and then the system continues. The major change was the change from a monarchy where the power was in the hands of kings to the power being in the hands of banking families and businessmen. And this happened through the 17th and 18th century. Banking families and powerful businessmen sponsored these revolutions to take power away from the monarchy of that time and into the hands of the capitalists. The old Rothschild saying of, I don't care who runs a country as long as they get to issue the currency. And that's how things work. The central banks, the Federal Reserve, issues the currency. A private corporation issues the currency and lends it to the U.S. government at interest that they are never able to pay back, because they do not create the actual mechanism of money. It's very simple. And there's a central bank in every country, and the only two countries that didn't have a central bank as of 5 years ago were Libya and North Korea. When Libya gave up its nuclear weapons to try and join the respectable class of the free world, that was it. Once they knew that nuclear weapons were gone, Libya was invaded. There will be a central Libyan bank. And the only thing that's keeping North Korea from having a central bank is the fact that they have a ton of nuclear weapons, and they are willing to use them, which is why North Korea is still in power. Now, I'm not saying that the guys who run those countries are fucking angels. They're not. But that is the nature of the system. And that's a system that has been in power for the last 200, 250 years. But what we're seeing now is the move away from central bankers, and you're going to see the power shift in the next 100 years to the technical guys, the Sergey Brins of the world, the Google, the Apple, the Microsoft. These are going to be the guys who are running the future technocratic state. But that is a topic for another post. All you need to know is the standard politics that you're force-fed through the mass media, through the mainstream media, CNN, NBC, or MSNBC, Fox News, is straight garbage.